because like, if somebody had on their application, check the box, do you believe that act inclusively is a core value? Well, I'm going to check the box, right?
Yeah.
But asking a question that kind of like leads to that conclusion would make, hey, a lot more. I mean, this is why you do what you do and I do what I do.
Yeah. And
I
you're
ask
not,
questions.
and you're not telling them, hey, I'm going to ask you some questions about
Right.
core values. It's just the third interview, and they don't necessarily know that that's what you're trying to uncover, and that's what you want. I mean, you want honest, raw input from that person on the other end to identify if they are in fact in line with your core values or not. And then that can help eliminate a lot of hiring mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, I can go back to hiring that I did and kind of place that on top of that and go, yeah, I probably would have eliminated that hiring mistake. Well, okay, but core values aren't just something that we use to figure out if we get along with people, right? I mean, like what else can we use our core values with?
Yeah, one of the other times it often comes up in my coaching calls is with decision making. I had a client last week that he was struggling with communication with one of the partners in his firm, and communication is one of their core values. And so we went to his core values, and I said, okay, let's take a look at your core values. And it's on Zoom, so we screen shared. And I pulled up the list and his descriptions of them and said, all right, which one of your core values is being challenged right now? He goes, well, it's communication. And I said, all right, well, let's read how you described what communication means to you and your firm and how you use it for decision making. So, we read it, and I said, all right, well, based on that, this is your core value, communication, and this is how you describe that you can use it. What would be the best way to move forward that leans into what the core value means to you and your firm versus leans away from it? And that's one of the biggest ways that you can use it. Use your core values if you have them well identified. All of your decisions can be viewed through the lens of your core values if you get your core values right.
Okay. Yeah. So saying, our core value, again, let's use be inclusive as a core value. You approach the problem and say, is this going to move us towards that core value, or is it going to move us away from that core value? And you're not like literally looking at it for the answer, but is the answer that I'm coming up with in line with that core value?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely right. And then, even this today, right? You and I, we didn't plan on having this chat today. This is an example of good core values at work here at Lawyerist and at Affinity. Chelsea reached out and said, hey, we need somebody for a podcast today. Do you have a topic? And my immediate thought is this is a grab the marker opportunity, right? Somebody on the team is in a bind, needs help. And grab the marker is one of our core values at Lawyerist. So this is an opportunity for me to grab the marker. And that's what you want from your team, from your core values. You want them to know the core values by heart, know what they mean, and actually look for opportunities to exercise them, right? When things come up, this is an opportunity for me to be inclusive. This is an opportunity for me to grab the marker. I mean, this is what you want out of your core values. And, that's really another way that you can use them. I mean, decision-making, hiring, but then also it helps to establish your team culture.
That's nice, because that kind of brings us back a little bit to the almost the purpose of using it when you're hiring. It's not just, am I going to get along with these people? It's are the people that we're hiring, are the people that we're bringing into our company, are they aligned with us? Are they going to go out and say, well, I'm going to make my own internal daily decision based on, am I leaning into my core values? It's not, I hadn't really thought about that. It's not just the leadership of the company that is making decisions based on core values, but we're all making decisions based on core values. And that comes from hiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we need core values. You've convinced me of this, Chad. You've convinced me of this. Finally. No, I've been doing this with lawyers for a while. But so we need core values. how do we go about kind of figuring that out? You talked about table stakes core values. How do I get past just the we want to be good people, don't do evil, comma, obviously, you know?
Yeah. So what I usually do, so let's say if somebody joins lab as a brand new labster, and one of the first things we do in the first couple of weeks of them joining lab is we take them through to establish their core values. So one of the first things we'll do is we'll say, hey, these are like table stakes, or this is why you need them. These are the table stakes values. Let's try to avoid these because these should be implied that people are going to have integrity and be honest and be hardworking and things like that.
Yeah.
And then we'll go through and we'll just have a conversation about identifying what are the must-haves in people that join your team and even the clients that you work with. Like what are the must-haves? And so we'll go through and I'll open up a Word document and we'll just start brainstorming, just spitballing ideas. What are all the things that these people absolutely must have? They must, be great communicators. And what does that mean? And they must, be inclusive. And what does that mean? And we'll just come up with all these ideas. And then from there, once we have a pretty nice list, and I'm not really looking to put a cap on the list at this point, just as many things we can come up with.
Okay.
Then we'll go into deal breakers. All right, well, what are the things that they absolutely cannot be? What can they not have? And then oftentimes the deal breakers can help them dial in their must-haves, right? Because there oftentimes can be the opposite of what you want. And so if there's things that they didn't think about on their must-haves, they can uncover them through the deal breakers, through going through the deal breakers. And then once we have those two lists, then we'll go through and start combining things, right? All right, well, let's start condensing it a little bit. Let's look at the must-haves. Let's see if there's any deal breakers that we need to, take the opposites of and move them up to the must-haves. And then let's go through and combine some of these concepts that are very similar.